What is up, everybody? It is Drew Traveler of the Burning Abyss here with another video, and we're delivering the long-awaited updated deck profile for Burning Abyss. I know everyone's been begging me for a list. This is the list that if I were to play this deck this format, I would run it this way. I personally won't be playing the deck this format because I think that it is outclassed and outpaced by the meta. But if I were to be playing a variation of this deck, this format, it would definitely look like this. So we're going to go ahead and, per usual, jump into the main deck first. Before we do, if you're not subscribed already, make sure you go ahead and smash the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload more cool and awesome content like the video you're watching right now, and give the video a thumbs up because it helps out with my analytics. But let's go ahead and dive right into this week's deck profile. All right, so this is a very I don't know if you want to call it teched out, kind of a teched out Burning Abyss list. So I'm actually a very firm advocate of blinding second with a lot of decks this format. So this is a blind second Burning Abyss list. Your intention is to go second. That is literally what the deck is set up to do. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the monsters. We have 3 copies of Graph. It's your best Burning Abyss monster in the deck. Well, it's your best starting Burning Abyss monster in your deck. Your best Burning Abyss is always going to be Seer. But yeah, obviously Graph being able to start your combos is very, very strong. We have 3 copies of Skarm because Skarm is going to go ahead and get you your searches and end phase for whatever you need. Card's absolutely busted. Like you want to play 3 of this because it helps in the grind game. 3 copies of Seer. Everyone knows that I'm a firm advocate of playing 3 of this card. Don't play 2, like play 3 all the time. Whether you're playing Desires or not, always just play 3. Like even if you draw this card, it's still good. Because like you're going second, so if you draw this in another BA, you go ahead and you make like a Dante with this in the other BA, you mill, so the Dante is 25, and then you make a Zeus with just 2 materials. You detach the Dante and the Seer, and then you get to go ahead, clear the board, and make a Beatrice. So like that's really, really good. Up next, 3 Farfa. This is a little different than I think most of my lists. Usually I play 2, but we need more removal, and this is removal. So yeah, we'll play 3 Farfa. I'm playing 2 Libic. I might cut 1 and put another random BA name in here just so I have another one. I'm playing a very large BA lineup. I'll give everyone that preface. I'm playing 18 Burning Abyss monsters, which is a lot, but we're going second and we're doing Zeus Turbo. So like playing 18 BAs is actually good because then you should draw 2 in your opening hand at the minimum. Up next, I'm playing 2 Alec. If you get into Purple Dante, this just becomes a hand trap essentially. Which honestly is not that bad at all. Like that's actually pretty darn sweet. And it's another name. So yeah, that's the gist of that. The one-ofs, I just play 1 Barbar and 1 Calcab. Like I said, I might cut Libic down to 1 and put another BA in. For a while I was playing Jahig. I could play Rubik too. Like there's obviously a bunch you could do. So yeah, you got some options. But those are all the BA monsters. The other stuff we're playing, I play 1 Rhino and 1 Tour Guide. I've gone over this pretty much in depth lately. And you know, my recent profile or profiles. You don't need to play more than 1 of each of these. So we're blinding second, and you'll see why playing more than 1 of these isn't good. Like you just, it wastes your normal summon, which wasting your normal summon is not what you want to do in this variation. So you're better off searching the Tour Guide, and you're okay with milling the Rhino, or if you like end up going first, you can go ahead and use it. But yeah, you definitely don't have to sit there and focus on using either of those. They're not that important. And then for the last real monster, we're playing the Fairy Tale Snow because like send this off of Beatrice or mill it off Dante. That's really, really good. We are playing 1 more monster technically, but we don't ever really use it, and that's 3 copies of Lava Golem. This card is just crazy, and we're not playing Sphere Mode because like you can't attack the Sphere Mode, and the whole point is Zeus Turbo. So like against Sprite, you get rid of the Elf and the Toad. And then you just special 2 BAs, you clear whatever, and then you just Zeus, and then you pretty much win the game. So yeah, those are all the monsters. I believe it's 24, I think. I think it's 24. But moving on to the spell cards, we play a good amount of spells. 3 Pot of Prosperity. In my last list, I was doing Desires, but because this is a blind second list, I'm going with Prosperity. I think that it's probably the better choice, to be perfectly honest. Card's really, really good. Like, and when you see the extra deck, you'll see that it's more than fine to play this card. Like, we have things that we can banish and not be harmed by it. So yeah, 3 Prosperity is really good. So anyone who checked out my community tab would have seen that yesterday I went to locals, and I got first place with blind second Sprite. I played Joshua Schmidt's list from the Euros, and very, very easy locals because the deck was so good. Like, it was just, the deck was so strong that I didn't feel like I was ever in a bad position, which is crazy. And Prosperity is one of the cards that helped me just dig deep for board breakers. So yeah, I'm a very firm advocate of playing 3 of this card in a lot of decks right now. Moving on to the board breakers, 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More. This card single-handedly won me so many games yesterday. There's no way that I can't play 3 of it. Like, it's just too good. 3 copies of Droplet. Like, this is just also a really good card, good board breaker. And then BA, like, you get to trigger your BA effects off of it, which is disgusting. And 3 copy of the God card, Mystic Mine. Yeah, so, like, I think that all of this stuff is pretty self-explanatory. You can Dark Ruler their board, go Zeus Turbo. You could mine to bait out a negate and then, you know, go Zeus Turbo. You can Droplet and then go Zeus Turbo like that. Basically, you're just playing 9 cards that set up for your Zeus Turbo play, which is crazy. And then we are playing 2 copies of Galaxy Cyclone. One of these might become a Feather Duster. Spoiler alert, I am siding Feather Duster. I might take one of these out, put the Feather Duster in the main, and then side deck Red Reboot. That's just what I'm thinking right now. But yeah, this is still really good. You know, you pop a Mine, you pop a Floodgate, whatever. So you could mill it or you could, you know, activate it. But yeah, still back row removal is probably important right now, more so than people realize. And then the one ofs, the 1 Foolish and the 1 Called By. I don't think I really need to explain either of these. Like, they're just really, really good cards. Yeah, so the way that I have it set up, and I just want to talk about this for a second. Mathematically speaking, so we have 16 spells and we have 24 monsters. Statistically, you, in 5 cards, should see 3 monsters and 2 spells, going by the statistics. The 6th card, obviously it kind of differs, but you know, you're more likely to see a monster percentage wise because you're playing more. But like, if you open up 2 BAs and a Lava Golem or 3 BAs and a Board Breaker, like, you just win the game. Just flat out, you win the game. So I think that the math is really good. If anyone's familiar with hypergeometric calculators, that's how I figure out my ratios most of the time, is all hypergeometric calculators. So yeah, really, really good main deck, honestly. Like, I love this main deck. But we're gonna go ahead and move on over to the extra deck and you know, kind of take a look at what I'm playing, and I'll talk a little bit about Prosperity banishes in there too. All right, so we are now going on to the extra deck, and starting off, we're going with our standard 2 copies of Dante. This is a very interesting extra deck. I want to, you know, make that clear before we jump into everything. This extra deck is very interesting, and everyone will see why. But 2 Dante, I think that 2 is more than enough. Yeah, I don't think in over a year I've ever needed more than 2 Dante. So we got the 1 Beatrice and the 1 purple Dante. Everyone knows this is just what I run. Yeah, it's really, really good. And then obviously, the one thing I want to point out too, I think I mentioned this in the main deck portion, but like, if this hits the board, all of your Burning Abyss monsters are hand traps essentially, which is crazy. And like, Beatrice dumps like Fairy Tale Snow or Farfa, whatever you need to get in your graveyard. So yeah, really good stuff. Then the other rank 3s that we play, I play a Fortune Tune, I play a Break Sword, and I play an Ashura King. these are obviously, you know, pretty good for a large number of reasons. In the off chance that you draw like a bunch of BAs, this actually gets better. If you open up 4 BAs, you get a 6 material Zeus, which like it's funny. It's very funny. So yeah, like you open up 4 BAs, you normal 1, you special summon 3, and then you make this. You swing at something, main phase 2, you stack the Downard, which would make this basically 5 cards, right? No, with the Downard it would be 6, and then the Zeus becomes the stack on top, so you have 6 materials. Yeah, so 4 BAs equals 3 board wipes from Zeus, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. Breaksword is just spot removal, and Fortune Tune is good in a lot of situations. I feel like I shouldn't have to go over why Fortune Tune is good. I've talked about it in plenty of other videos. I'm still playing the Darius and the Machinex engine because this is also very solid. There are going to be times where you can set up like a Beatrice and a Machinex, so like that's still really good because you get to dump your snow and you get to steal cards from your opponent. So like I don't see why you wouldn't play it. It's really, really solid. And then we're playing 2 copies of Downard Magician because we can always stack something up to give more materials to a Zeus. And yeah, the fact that I have 2 Italian ones is kind of another reason that I like to play them. Then I play 2 copies of Zeus. This is the homeboy. I wanted to play 3, but there were 2 other cards that I wanted to try out in here. And at least see how they worked out. So there's going to be a little bit of testing to come with that, but we'll obviously get to that in a moment. Zeus is crazy. I know that everyone hears me preach about how amazing this card is, and I do want to play 3 of it in a way, but like I said, I'm experimenting with these other cards, and I will, when I get to the next 2 cards, I will discuss the replacements that you can have if you would like to replace those cards for something else. But yeah, double Zeus, like board wipe central. That's the whole point of this deck. Break your opponent's board. Like that's literally all that you do. You break the board and you hope that they can't rebound off of it. And if they can't, you win. That's Burning Abyss. That's where we're at. The last 2 cards that we play are Utopic Future and Draco Future. I'm very back and forth on these. If you want to cut them, you would definitely play the 3rd Zeus. And then you would just play another rank 3. Obviously, it's kind of preference. If you want to play a 3rd Dante, go for it. Play a 3rd Dante. I'm not playing any Link monsters in this build at all. I don't think that they're necessary with what I'm going for. I think that what I have more than suffices for the entire purpose of this deck. So yeah, I don't have a reason to be playing Link monsters right now, like in this build. It's just not a thing. So yeah, that's the entire extra deck. Little more interesting because I'm playing an XYZ based Burning Abyss deck, rather than, you know, having a few links thrown in there. It's just like all XYZs in the one fusion. But yeah, that's the extra deck. Let's go ahead and hop on over to the side to see what I'm tossing in for games 2 and 3. All right, so moving into games 2 and 3, what do we do? What are we going to throw in here? Well, let's check it out. We have 3 copies of Lightning Storm, 1 copy of Feather Duster, and 3 copies of Evenly Matched for more board breakers. I discussed it in the main deck portion, but in case you missed it, you can put the Feather Duster in the main deck for one of the Cyclones, and then you can put Red Reboot in the side deck if you'd like to. It's kind of up to you what you'd like to do as far as that goes. I kind of just leave everything up to my viewers to change things how they'd like. Everyone says, why do you play this or why don't you play that? And I say, because that's the way I built it. You can build it your way. That's how it is. I'm just here to teach people how to play this deck the way that I play it. And with the success I've had, I feel that I give pretty good advice. But these cards are insane. More board breakers, the better, honestly. Like, and there's going to be times where your opponent is going to be like, oh, well, you know, he lost the dice roll and, you know, I went first, he went second, and he broke my board because I'm playing a going second variation. So they think that going into whatever game that I'm going to choose to go second again, And I usually will choose to go first because I have other cards that go ahead and play through my opponent's board, which we will get to, and that is our going first lineup, which is 3 copies of Anti-Spell, 3 copies of Dimensional Barrier, and 2 copies of Trap Trick. So I think that these are pretty insane. There is one thing that if you'd like to change it, you could cut Shifter down to 2 if you wanted to, but the problem is then if you mill 1, then the Trap Trick is useless. But you could cut either this down to 2 or you could cut this down to 2, and you can play, I think it's Mischief of the Gnomes is the one that banishes itself from grave to like reduce levels. That way your sprite matchup becomes easier. But like the D barrier is really good against a lot of decks right now. That's why we have the Trap Trick for it. So you're playing 5 copies of this essentially, which is pretty darn good. And then Anti-Spell, because right now a lot of the I shouldn't just say the sprite decks because it's more decks than just sprite, are playing a lot of board breaker cards, and if you flip an Anti-Spell, then like your opponent just suffers a little bit. So yeah, I think that Anti-Spell is actually disgusting. Like, this card's crazy. So yeah, that's the side deck. I don't think I need to go very much more in detail. Yeah, I'm literally playing all spells and trap in the side, no other monsters because we don't really need them. I'm opposed to sphere mode. I feel like I made that clear because of the entire purpose of this deck. So if anyone's like, why aren't you playing sphere mode? I made it clear. Go back and look at where I talked about Lava Golem and you'll see why. As far as everything else goes, like I said, I've said this before in other videos. I've replied to people's comments. I've put it on my community tab. I don't think that this deck is great, this format, at all. I think the fact that, you know, I'm playing 9 board breakers in the main deck, actually no, more than that, 12 because of Lava Golems, is like kind of sad that we have to be playing that many cards to counteract our opponent. But like, that's unfortunately the way that the format is. You just have to play stuff like that. Honorable mentions for cards that you could play. You could play more hand traps if you wanted to. You could play like, you know, your standard run-of-the-mill like DD Crow stuff. Imperms are decent right now. Ghost Ogre. I mean, Ash is the most generic, but my problem with Ash is that like it doesn't really stop anyone from playing. So that's kind of a downside because people can still play after getting hit with an Ash. So yeah, I think that this deck can probably be considered rogue at best. Definitely not tier 0, definitely not tier 1, and probably not even tier 2. I think rogue is probably the best classification. With the right pilot, don't get me wrong, you could probably top your locals, but the odds of topping a regional or YCS with this are very slim. So I figured I'd make that clear. I love the deck. Everyone knows that I love the deck. It's what my channel is based on. But the deck is just, it's not in a good spot right now. we're playing interesting cards to make up for our struggles and hardships. But yeah, that's basically the entirety of the deck profile. If anyone wants to see test hands, let's go ahead and get the video to 100 likes. And if we get the video to 100 likes, I will do some test hands. We'll do a whole video dedicated to that, or I'll do another live stream dedicated to that. So yeah, go ahead and smash the thumbs up button. That way we can go ahead and get to 100 likes, and smash that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on so you know when I upload more cool and awesome deck profiles like the one you just saw today. It's a very fun deck to play. Like I said, it's not the best deck in the world currently, but doesn't mean I don't enjoy it. Still love the deck. It's just not in the best spot, which is unfortunate because it's my favorite deck, but that's okay. I still play other decks and I still enjoy playing the game. So yeah, you can't go wrong. But for right now, this is Drew, Travel to the Burning Abyss, signing out.